Okay, so far we've been talking about a plant cell. We talked about the 8 different organelles that you can find inside of a plant cell. The organelle that is missing right here are the inside of chloroplast. We talked about which process happens. Correct. This process is photosynthesis. Inside the mitochondria, we talk about which process happens. Correct. This process is cellular respiration. If a cell runs out of oxygen and needs to make ATP, the cellular respiration doesn't occur inside of the mitochondria. In which organelle will anaerobic respiration occur? Correct, the cytoplasm. We talked about the cell membrane allowing certain things in and out of the cell. We talked about the vacuole, which holds water. Now we're going to jump into the nucleus. DNA is found inside the nucleus. We said the nucleus is like the control center of the cell. It controls everything that happens in the cell, kind of like the principal at the school. So if you look inside of a cell, inside of the nucleus, you'll see DNA. And this DNA right here is what controls everything that a cell has to do. This right here represents instructions. And each color of the DNA is a different set of instructions for the cell. DNA is found in all living things. All living things need instructions on how to live. Plant cells have DNA, animal cells have DNA. So remember that the DNA is found inside of the nucleus. We said that the nucleus is the control center because it contains the DNA. And the reason that the nucleus is considered the control center or the boss of the cell is because it holds the DNA and the DNA has instructions for the cell. Let's talk about the shape of DNA. Well, DNA is extremely long. In fact, if you take the DNA out of your cells, you'll be able to wrap it around the earth a few times. DNA, very, very small, but extremely long. The basic shape of DNA is like a twisted up ladder or a twisted zipper, and it is called a double helix. Double because there are two sides, and helix because it is twisted. So DNA is extremely long. It's called a double helix because it looks like a twisted ladder. Now the DNA double helix has two strands. You see this one black strand right here and one green strand on the other side. So DNA double helix has two strands that are twisted together. Let's look at just one side of our DNA molecule. This is called the backbone of the molecule. The backbone of the molecule is what you see is the outside of the DNA molecule. It is made up of two things that alternate. It's made up of phosphate and it's made up of deoxyribose. Automatically, we know that deoxyribose is a, yes, because deoxyribose in an OSE, deoxyribose is a sugar. So it's made up of phosphate and then a sugar. Phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar. Inside of the backbone, we have our bases. And our bases are important because they are actually what holds the instructions. Now remember that DNA has two strands that fit together something called a zipper, and the inside are called bases. Well, these bases are actually held together, kind of like a relationship. They're held together by a bond. So these bases are held together by a bond, B-O-N-D, a bond. So back to one side of the DNA molecule, there are four bases. You have C, cytosine, T, thymine, A, adenine, and G, guanine. Luckily for you in this class, we only have to say the letters. So we have C, T, A, and G. And remember, these are the instructions. These are actual steps that the cell knows to follow. We know that DNA has two sides, so the bases actually end up matching with a different base. So A always matches up with T. On one side of the DNA molecule, it would be an A. The second strand would be a T. And G will always match up with C. So let's look at an example. First, let's label the backbone of our DNA molecule. The circles represents phosphate, and the pentagon or the house-shaped molecule represents deoxyribose. So we have phosphate, deoxyribose, phosphate, deoxyribose, phosphate, deoxyribose, phosphate, deoxyribose, phosphate, deoxyribose. Let's look at these bases, which are held together by a bond. A. A on one side will always match up with T. C will always match up with G. So if this is T, again, we said T will always match with A. And if this is G, G will always match with C. So if this base right here is C, what would this base be? Good. We know that C always matches up with G. So remember, each cell has about 2 meters of DNA. The average human has 75 trillion cells inside of your body, which means that if you stretch out all of our DNA, then we have enough DNA that can go from the earth to the sun, from the earth to the sun, more than 400 times. So we have a lot of long DNA inside of our cells. That's it.